this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make a line collage out of white paper. We're going to be using straight lines and zigzag lines and wavy lines and thin and thick lines and also some shapes that you see here. Hey guys, we are back and we are adding our snowflake on top of our winter background, our winter night sky. It is nice and dry and we can put our snowflake on top. Here's an example of one that is pretty much finished where I have glued white paper on top. It's a collage of different kinds of lines and shapes to create our snowflake. So you're going to need white paper. It could be thicker white paper or just regular white computer paper. You're going to need some scissors and you're going to need some glue or a glue stick. So these are what you're going to need when you are going to get started on your paper snowflake collage. First, I'm going to grab my white paper, and you can use a pencil to draw or write the different lines and shapes, but you don't have to. You could just go ahead and start cutting. On this side here, I'm going to start cutting my thick lines. We're going to start with thicker lines. This is a thin line. Don't cut that close. Thicker line, okay? So we're going to cut a thick line as straight as we possibly can. And we're going to do 3 of those. 1, 2, 3. Around the same size. And we are going to glue them on. And if you remember, to make a snowflake, you need a vertical and 2 diagonals. So vertical means up and down, that's vertical. And 2 diagonals. So that is the start of our snowflake. We're going to glue those down to start our snowflake. Now these are straight thick lines. If you want to make another line that's not straight, you can try it. You don't have to, but I'm going to show you how you can if you wanted to. If you wanted to do a wavy line, you are going to hold your paper and your scissors and you're going to turn your paper this way, then turn your paper that way. This way, that way. This way, that way. And you're going to turn to make a wavy line. This is not our wavy line. We still are going to do it. If it's easier for you to draw it in pencil, remember we want it to be thick still, you totally can draw it in pencil first and do it. But to make a line, we have to cut 2 cuts, not just 1 cut, 2 cuts. So that would be a thick, wavy line. Remember, you don't have to do this, but you can try it if you want to. A lot of my students find it easiest to do a zigzag line. Now remember, we can draw it if we want to, but we don't have to. But just to help you out, let me draw it. Zig, zag, zig, zag. Zig, zag. We're going to follow those lines. Do a cut, stop. Do a cut, stop. This is the one that my students find the easiest fancy one to do. I think the wavy, maybe sometimes they have issues with that, okay? And this one's not our line. We could use this one. We could use it. Wavy on one side, zigzag on the other. But we're going to draw another one right next to it. Zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag. Remember, if you want to, you can try this line. All right, it's time to assemble our snowflake. And we have all of our different lines here that we can choose from. I think maybe my vertical line will be my zigzag. So my vertical line, maybe I make it my zigzag. And remember, it's thick, the thick line. I'm going to open my glue and try only to use a line of glue. It's like we're drawing a line with the glue. And I'm going to put it in the middle, vertical. These next 2, I'm going to do them diagonal. I'm just going to use my straight lines to do the diagonals. Try not to put it down here. Try to make it in the middle as much as you can. This is vertical. You have to twist it all the way. That's finally diagonal. Remember, you do not have to do zigzag. You can just be using straight if you want, but I'm just showing a different option. Draw a line of glue. And There we go. And here is another option for you. This is the start of your snowflake. Vertical, diagonal. My vertical is zigzag. It does not have to be. All right, now let's get started on some of the thinner lines. So I'm going to grab my paper. There's still a lot of space in there. And instead of thick, we're going to make it thin. So let's cut some thin lines. Ooh, look how thin that is. We can go even thinner if we want to, if you can. Do you see how thin that is? Oh, this one's really thin. Okay, so now we have some lines that we can work with, and we're going to use them to decorate our snowflake. I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut it in half again, and I'm going to cut this one in half again, and I'll show you what I'll use them for. If we wanted to, we can put them on the ends just straight like that. We could do that, or we could do a V with them. It's up to you. Why don't we do both to show you? So I'm going to do my straight lines with the skinny one. Let's see, we'll cut it in half, then we'll cut it in half again, then we'll cut this one in half one more time. Okay, so we have 4 really thin lines and 4 lines that are just a little bit thinner. Okay, so we have thick, medium, and thin. Let's do our straight lines with this one. It's really hard to glue when it's this small. Okay, we're gonna do that. And I'm gonna put them on the ends of every part of the snowflake. So, see that? I'm gonna put it on the end of every part of the snowflake. It's really hard to glue like this. I don't think I've ever made them this thin. I think I'm just doing that to show you how thin you can go. This might be hard to make it this thin. So now I've placed a straight thin line on every part of the snowflake, and now I'll show you how I do my V's. So this is a V that I did here. I'm gonna take that medium line. Oh, that's a lot easier to glue, isn't that? And I'm going to put it here. And then to make it into a V, I'm gonna take another one. I'm gonna put it right there. And you see how it makes the letter V? That is what we want on our snowflake. So I'm gonna do another one right there. So I added another one right there, and I've cut a few more because I want it to be on the other diagonal line too. I want to do another V. And so right now we have thick lines, thin lines, medium lines, straight lines, and zigzag lines, vertical lines, diagonal lines. We have so many different lines that we did on our snowflake. It is coming together, isn't it? You can follow mine exactly, or you can do your own kind of lines. It is up to you. It is really up to you. The snowflake can look like anything you want it to. Okay, remember we did have this wavy line, but I don't think there's any room to put any wavy line. If we did, we could put it horizontal here, but that would just be too busy, I think. All right, so now that we have all the lines, I don't think we can do any more lines. We can do shapes. So you might want to get a pencil to do the shapes. I am going to, oh, you know what is a very easy shape? Let me show you. A lot of my kids do this. If you take your zigzag that you already made, you can go like this. And if you cut it, you already made, can you guys tell? Triangles. You've already made some triangles that you can use. I don't really like these triangles too much though, so I'm going to cut them down a little bit before I use them. I like that triangle better. If you see, the way that I'm using the scissors is I'm making one cut. I'm trying just to go like this and make one cut. Hold it and make one cut. So I have 2 triangles there. I have another triangle here. What can I do with these triangles? I think I'm just going to put a dot of glue. I think it would be really cool to have a triangle right here. So this is how we can add shapes. We don't have to just add lines on our snowflakes. We can also add shapes. And I can add another triangle right here. If you see here, I put 2 triangles on either end. So there's a lot of options of how you could use your triangles. I still need more triangles. Let me take this one. Remember this one that I made? And let me add some more triangles. So I added 2 more triangles here to make them even, or the word is actually symmetrical. And I'm going to go for another shape, which is a diamond. Now, diamonds are a little hard. If you want to know how to draw it, you start with a triangle, and then under it, you're gonna put an upside down triangle. And that is a diamond. So we're gonna cut that diamond out and we're gonna add it in. Remember, we wanna do 1 cut at a time. And you see how there's pencil on there? We don't wanna use this side. We want to flip it over and use that side without the pencil. 1 dot in the middle, and I think that we can put the diamonds right here. Now, if you don't need pencil, you don't have to use it. I'm going to cut my triangle first, and then my upside down triangle, cut it under it. Remember, if a diamond is too hard, you can use another shape. I've had kids make squares. Triangles are pretty easy to do. I've also had kids do hearts. All right, I think that my snowflake looks pretty finished. If you want to know how to do a heart, I'm just going to do one really quickly because a lot of my students have done hearts. So you draw your heart and then you cut it out. Going to be kind of hard to cut out a heart. You're going to twist your paper. Don't twist your scissors. Do you see me twisting my paper, not my scissors? Okay. So there is my heart. We are going to put glue on the side with pencil. And where would I put my heart? Would I put my heart there? Oh, okay. I could do that. So I have made 3 more hearts because I want it to be even. I don't want just 1 heart sitting there. The word is symmetrical. We want our snowflake to be symmetrical, which means we want each side to be the same. So I'm just adding these in. I think this is going to be my last thing. It's up to you when you want to finish your snowflake. All right, I think that that is done. I have 1 on each side. Ooh, I could actually put 2 more here. Let me do that. Let me really quickly put 2 more right there. All right, my snowflake has gotten very, very full, but this is finished. As you can see, we have zigzag line, vertical line, thick line, diagonal line, medium line, also diagonal, very thin line. We have hearts and diamonds and triangles. So try to use different kinds of lines. If you don't use as many as I do, that is fine. I'm just showing you the different ones that you can use. The last step that we usually do is we get something called an oil pastel, or you can use a crayon or a colored pencil as long as it's white, or a paint marker, and we just add in a few smaller snowflakes floating in the background. So remember, we do vertical, diagonal, and these ones don't have to be super fancy, so I'm just gonna add some circles. That's one right there. I'm gonna make one even smaller, just little tiny ones in the background, just to show that it's a big snowflake amongst a bunch of other smaller snowflakes. Oops, I think I put too many lines on that one. I'm gonna put little triangles on this one. I'm gonna put little lines on this one. So these ones do not have to be as detailed, but it's up to you. Little circles on the ends of this one. All right, maybe a tiny little one right here, and a tiny little one right here. And so it's a night sky with a bunch of snowflakes falling down. Whenever you feel like you filled up your space, then you are finished. Do another tiny one, some just like really tiny ones. All right, we have finished our snowflake. That is awesome.